Hi, I'm Tom Stevenson and welcome to Microsoft Project the Course. I'm a professor of construction management and welcome to my YouTube channel where we do everything about construction. In this particular series, we're looking at Microsoft Project and how to use it. And this is video number 22, I believe. So there's a number of other videos that, if you're just starting out in Microsoft Project, you might want to review or go through. You can check my playlist. I've got a number of playlists on my YouTube channel. Microsoft Project, the course, is just one of them. And in the description below, I have a Google Drive link that you can download a file to follow along with, as well as a file link for this checklist that we're going to be going through that you should use before you set the baseline on your project. So this will be a little bit of a review, but it'll be going through this checklist, and you can download the checklist. And that'll be really, really helpful for you to make sure that when you set your baseline, you have something rock solid that you're measuring against. And otherwise, we can't remember all this stuff. And so the easy way is to have a checklist. And I've talked about that in some of my other videos. In construction, we use checklists all the time. Think of the schedule as a giant checklist. But for sure, we need a checklist before we actually set the baseline. And so and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. It helps us build the community, leave comments. If I have time, I try to answer some of the questions as well, and we'll move forward. Okay, so I've got this file that we've been using and some of the videos going along, and it's for this new township building. And I put a hyperlink. I don't think I've shown you how to do that before, but to put a hyperlink, if you're in basically the indicator column, which says I for indicators, and if it's not showing on your screen or you slide to the left and it's not there, you can always right click, insert column, type I for indicators, and you will see it show up, right? So I'm going to just delete it. When you delete a column, you're just deleting it from view in Microsoft Project, so you can always bring it back. And all I did was I just right-clicked over here and I put hyperlink. And so if you click I hyperlink and you pick that you want to basically, well, start it in a different one here. Basically put hyperlink. It'll bring up insert hyperlink box, and then you can just pick your file from whatever folders you've got on your project, and then that's a quick link to that. So if I want to bring up that checklist, I can double click here. It gives me a warning. Hyperlinks sometimes might be containing viruses or things, but I know this one's safe, so I'm good. I'm just bringing this up here, and it says MS Project Review Checklist before setting baseline. And so I've got a number of items that I put in here, and I'm going to go through these with you, but no open ends. And if you've been watching my videos from the beginning, very important to make sure that you review and make sure that you don't have any open ends. Make sure that all your holidays are in. Make sure your WBS, your work breakdown structure, is in the correct alignment. I'm always getting people where it's not in the correct alignment, and that throws off your dates. That can be a big problem. Milestones are well positioned for motivational drive, and I'll show you how you can look at that across the top of your screen. Review schedule from end to beginning. That's a kind of a lean principle. That's also a philosophy of if in doubt, invert. You can look at it from the end to the beginning, thinking about, okay, so, we want to put the roofing membrane down. What do we need? Well, we need the decking down. So that's the item before that. And we're just working backwards to the beginning. Doesn't prevent you from then going through the project from beginning to end. And I guarantee you do that, you're probably going to have a few questions with some activities that maybe you didn't catch some of the predecessors and successors the right way. Check relationship types are correct. So I've had a recent client where they had a lot of start to finish relationships, and it's highly recommended not to put start to finish. Finish to start, fine. But start to finish, the logic is a little bit unusual. It's hard to figure out what's going on. Project Management Institute says don't put start to finishes. I say don't put start to finishes. So you just want to do any checks just in case you've got something wrong with any of the relationships. You want to have a start to start, but you have a finish to finish there, that sort of thing. Review the network diagram. It's another way of looking at your schedule. You can catch in the network diagram if there's any open ends. You can catch if there's a problem with the work breakdown structure, something linked to it. You can look at the logic in the schedule, in the network diagram. So that's an important one to check. Review resource sheet and applications. Just make sure that you've applied the right resources to the right activities and you've created them the right way. Do a spell check. Why not do a spell check? Make sure you don't have any constraints. If you do, that you've really decided, I want to have this constraint there. Because remember, I strongly advise to avoid constraints wherever possible. That's another PMI suggestion, is to try to avoid constraints. And if you're not sure what those are, you can look at my other videos where I've got a lot of discussions on them. But I'll also quickly show you now. All activities are auto-schedule, so we don't want them in manual mode. We want everything auto-scheduled. I'll show you that. And review indicator column for any potential issues. So let's dive into it a little bit and we'll look at it. And so you can download this checklist from my Google Drive link that I put in the description. And you can just click off boxes, use it like a regular checklist for your project so you make sure that you do things like that. All right, so I'm just going to jump back to my Microsoft project file. All right, so we're back and we're going to look at this. Now I'm noticing, so it said to check for open ends. Right away I'm actually noticing that I've lost my critical path. So that's something that happens. Usually that happens when you have a constraint. So I see the constraint over there. So that's a bit of a problem. So we'll look at that. Then I'm also going to look at if there's any open ends. So let's do a quick check on open ends. All right. And I've shown you this before. So I'll just show again very quickly. Predecessors, select all, select the blank. And then this is just showing blank ones. So the only blank activity I see here is the first one that doesn't have a predecessor. All right. I see that my headings here don't have any links to them. So that's fine. That's good. We don't want to link to our work breakdown structure, so there's no issues with that. So I'll put that back. But just because everything has a predecessor doesn't mean everything necessarily has a successor. So let's check here. We'll go to blank. All right. So we're just filtering for the blank ones. And I'm seeing the last activity, which is total completion I put in here. It doesn't have a successor, right? These are headings, the white ones here. And I'm seeing here that we're missing a successor. I'm also noticing, that's not in normal mode. That's in what we call manual mode. We want it basically not in manual mode. We want it basically in auto schedule. That's what we're looking for. So that's another check on our checklist, but we're picking up some issues. So that's fine. That's good. So that task is what? Number 31. So we're going to take a look at number 31 right off the get-go because that we got to fix. So what's a successor that we want for number 31? So everything should have a successor. Everything should have a predecessor. If you're not sure what I mean, again, go back to some of my earlier videos, probably video 1, 2, 3 in that zone. I talk about it numerous times. If you don't have everything connected, you can't really tell when something changes, like it's not changing all your dates. It's only changing this particular activity's dates. And because it's not in auto schedule, it's not necessarily updating everything in normal manner. We usually want basically auto schedule because then things are automatically changing just as other things change. So usually manual schedules kind of got it there in a holding pattern. So let's look, what do I want to connect it up with? Let's say backfill. So let's say I want to connect it up with number 35. So I'm going to put number 35 as a successor there. So that's now connecting it up over there. I want to put this into auto schedule. I want to put this, I'm seeing that I've got a few of these here that aren't in auto schedule. So you know what? I want to just select everything and that should take care of the whole project. Once I do that, if I click auto schedule, then everything in the project I know is auto scheduled at that point. So that's a good thing to do when we're doing that. So let's, we just did a few checks there, and let's go back to our, let's go back here to our hyperlink, and we'll just say yes. And so I'm going to click that. We're done. Okay, so we just did this one. Here, we'll do this one in a second. We kind of did a little bit on the work breakdown structure, and we did the auto schedule. So all activities auto schedule. So we did that one. Sometimes you don't do them more because you do them as you're going along. The important thing is that you make sure that you check everything. So I want to check holidays, and I want to check work breakdown structure and maybe milestones right now. So let's do some of those checks. So holidays, what I would be doing is I would be going to my project tab, and I would be going to change working time. And look, I haven't put any holidays in this, so that's not good. So I would have to say, oh, wow, I forgot to put the holidays. And then I'd have to start inserting all of the holidays in the order that I would want to put them. And of course, you create a holiday by simply going to a date like July 1st as an example, and you could say basically Canada Day. In the States, it would be July 4th for Independence Day, but we'll just put that here. And then we put a holiday. But you'd have to do that for the duration of your project. Again, I've got another video called Calendar. You could look at that early video on the playlist and check that out. All right, so I'll just click OK here. Because when you do that, it changes your dates, right? It changes your dates. You always want to make sure all the holidays are in there so it doesn't schedule things during the holiday period. Now, the other thing that I said that I wanted to check was the work breakdown structure. So I'm just going to go to View, and I'm going to go to Outline, and I'm going to say, show me level 1. And so now it's going to show me level 1. And now I'm going to say, all right, show me level 2. Okay, so pre-construction, construction, closeout. If that's what I want on level 2, I'm good. Show me level 3. All right, so I see under level 1, that's what I got. And I got site mobilization, substructure. If these are all looking correct, that's good, right? So if these are all looking like my third level, and again, I've got the WBS column inserted in here. Again, if you need to insert that column, you just click Insert Column, type W, and then it would just be the plain old WBS there, right? That would insert that. All right, so that's looking okay, and that's the third level. So now I want to check out the fourth level, level 4. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. And now I want to check out, I think I've got some that are in level 5 over here. So I'm going to check that one out, level 5. Okay, as long as I've got everything where I want it to be, and I'm noticing these two here, somehow they got in the same line as this. And so is that what I want? Do I want these under substructure or under utilities installations? You know what? I think I want these where they are. So I think I do want them under substructure. So they are. They're basically fine. I could always move them up if I thought, I want them in a different spot. I could move it up. So it's up here. That would be all right. But they were kind of a little bit more in a logical order there. So again, that's a debatable item because then you get the arrows going up and down. But again, I've told you in other videos how you can adjust that too. Okay, so I'm looking at that. I'm okay with that. All right. And I believe that's all of the work breakdown structure that I've got set up. So that's good. I've checked the work breakdown structure. I'm honing in on this constraint here because it's bothering me because my critical path before it has disappeared. When you put a constraint, Microsoft Project thinks, you don't have a critical path anymore, especially when whatever you put it on was on that or is affected by that, what's before it. And so it kind of just goes blue. So if you're having your critical path, I did another video on why did your critical path disappear. That's one of the reasons. And so I'm just going to double click and I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want that constraint. So I'm going to go to the Advanced tab. And I'm going to say as soon as possible under constraint type. And I'm going to get rid of that. It might change my date a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, it did. So it moved that back a little bit. If I wanted to move that ahead without a constraint, I could just put a lag here by double clicking the link line and saying, oh, I'll put 2 or 3 days, and there you go, July 5th. It'll still land on that same day, it's just that I put a lag there. So that's helpful, and I'm rid of my constraint, and I'm not seeing any more constraints all the way down. So I don't see any more constraints all the way down, so that's good. I'm also going to check along the top here. These are my milestones. So I put milestones along the top just so I could sort of visually see them if they're distributed. Like I might decide, okay, from towards the end of October to the middle of December, maybe that's too long. I should look in my schedule. Is there something suitable for a milestone over here? I could do that if I wanted to. But I'm looking, do I have a reasonably good broken down milestone list for motivational purposes? If you do last planner system and you're filtering to a milestone date, is this working for us? Thinking about it in those terms. I could also have filtered under view for milestones and checked it that way. So I could have just looked at, okay, where are all my milestones this way, right? And if I didn't want the headings, I could also go to format and say, don't show me the headings. I just want to see the milestones. There they all are. So there's different ways of looking at milestones that way. Right now, again, I'm under view, and I'll get rid of that. So I'm back to normal here. That's what you got to remember if you filter stuff, that you have those, you're not forgetting that you filtered it, and it's kind of like, what's missing here? All right, so we've got that. The milestones look pretty good. The work breakdown structure looks pretty good. Maybe I'll go back and take a quick look. What have we checked on our checklist? Do a few more checks here. Holidays, okay. WBS, yeah. No links to WBS, yeah. Milestones are well positioned. And then we'll just do a quick check on the front and from the end to the beginning and beginning to the end. We'll look at the relationship types, and we'll check the resource sheet and network diagram. So let's take a look at a few of these then. Okay, so I said relationship types. Well, that's finish to start, finish to start, finish to start. I don't have too much fancy stuff going on in here. Plus 3 days. Start to start, start to start, start to start. That's fine. Start to start. This activity must start in order for this activity to start. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm good. I don't see any start to finishes, which would be problematic. So that's good. And I'm just looking at that and I'm checking that out as I'm going. So I'm okay with that. The other thing I would check out is then, this is what I'm talking about from beginning to end. All right. So you're looking at it from, this is, that's basically one of the last activities, total thing. And then we're going backwards. So basically it's numbered. So it's 104, township deposit. This takes some time, quite honestly. And you're thinking about, okay, and then what comes before that? Okay, we need these consultant letters. We need the authority's jurisdiction. And you're working it backwards. Now, for some people, it might get a little bit confusing, when you've got going back and it's going up to activities that are, well, these ones are fairly close, but some are further away. But it takes a little bit of time to review it, and that's good. For some people, too, you might want to review it in more linear order. So if I'm reviewing it very often, what I will do is I will put it into the format view. I will get rid of the summary tasks, and I will say, group this from earliest to latest, right? Earliest to latest. Now everything is just in an even order. Like, you don't notice things have changed, but they have quite dramatically changed. Like, look, number 90 is between 61 and 51. It's now organized from the beginning of your project to the end by date. So if you're following it backwards, you can look at it also by what's happening on the project one at a time and by the links. So some of the links still may be up in other spots because there might be lags on them, but you can really sort of follow it by a date timeline, which is very, very helpful in reviewing it. And especially when you're going forward, it's very helpful when you're thinking about what comes next, what's the sequencing. And so it really sort of spells it out that way really good. Thing is, again, you got to remember, well, I did do that, so I got to undo that. So I'm just going to go summary tasks, and then I'm going to go view, and I'm going to say sort by ID number. See the ID numbers, they're still not in order. So I'm going to say by ID, and now they're in order. So now they're all under the headings the way that we set it up. I'm also going to slide to the left now, and I'm going to take a look at the network diagram. All right, so I'll look at the network diagram, and I'll look at it from beginning to end, you know, and I can see my summary tasks here. And so all the parallelograms, they should be off to the left because we don't want to connect them to anything. Those are the summary tasks, right? If you're like, I can't see it. Well, you can always go bottom right screen. It's behind my face right now, but go to the plus sign at the bottom right of your screen and you can zoom in. And you can start from the beginning, right? And you can start from the beginning, go to the top, and then you can start from letter of intent, apply for permits, and you can follow it through. All right, so that's another way of reviewing it. Or you can zoom out a little bit like here, and you can quickly see if there's any open ends or anything, you'd see a missing link here. All right, so that's good. We've looked at the network diagram, and we've looked at basically the work breakdown structure, and we looked at the logic, finish to start, start to start. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my resource sheet, and I'm going to check my resources. All right, so does it make sense, the resource? If I'm doing cost loading, I got to spend some more time on this than what I'm showing you. But basically, have I got my resources listed? And then going back to my Gantt chart, have I got them applied to the right activities, right? And do I have activities where, you know, in base inspection, do I need to have a resource applied to that? Maybe not, because I have my superintendent overseeing the job applied to everything, but I want to check those things, right? So I want to check those things. Is there blanks that I should have a resource applied to? And again, you could sort this. Again, you could sort this, select all, and you could go blank here and just look at the blank ones, if that makes it quicker for you to sort of ID the blank ones, right? Just like we did with the predecessors and successors. The other thing you could do if you're doing cost loading is go to the resource sheet, and you could select everything, and you could check cost. And you could see, do I have costs applied to everything? No, I haven't applied cost to my landscaping sub. What's going on? Why is that? No, I haven't applied cost to here. What's going on? And do these costs represent the costs that you've contracted the work to or budgeted the work for? So that's a quick way of checking that. So we just checked the resource sheet. Let's go back to our checklist. All right, see how we're doing. So we've got review schedule beginning to end, check relationships, review network diagram, review resource sheet, no constraints, approved, and review indicator column. So we'll look at this and we'll look at the spell check. So let's just go back one more time. And so we're basically going to look at our indicator column. Is there anything showing up there? Constraints, funny calendars, or anything like that? No, I'm not seeing anything there. Under project, we're going to go to the spell check. And then we should run a spell check on the whole file. And that'll bring us to the end. So I hope you've enjoyed this review with a checklist. This is what you should really do before you get to set the baseline, right? Because once you set the baseline, then you don't want to be changing basic stuff. So this gets you like, this is what we want to do. And now you're good and you're set for going forward. So I'm Tom Stevenson, throwing a lot there at you. If you haven't looked at the previous videos, I think that would be a great help, and run it through, because this is a lot of stuff you need to do before that. But if you have this, it's a fairly quick run through. It's not something that's going to take you hours and hours, but it's well worth it. So I'm Tom Stevenson, wishing you a wonderful day. Don't forget to click subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.